Can Donald Trump remove the Federal Reserve chairperson, the central banker, Jay Powell? He's trying to run up his butt. He's trying to go and check out how he's doing his remodeling over at the Federal Reserve. He's trying to, influence him and have all of his people in his inner circle say bad and nasty things about Jay Powell. From what I know about Jay Powell, people that know Jay Powell, none of this is going to matter. Wall Street doesn't want him to go. Even the United States Supreme Court doesn't want him to go. We'll talk more about it on Legal AF, the midweek edition podcast with this week's co-anchors, Lisa Graves and Dina Dahl. Take a listen.
Before we go to ad break, I just want to jump right into Jerome Powell, Federal Reserve Chair, because as we have seen, Trump, and not just Trump, J.D. Vance, a lot of the allies really want Jerome Powell to step down. Never mind the fact that Trump actually appointed him years ago, but he's not doing their bidding. He's not lowering interest rates. And so there's a lot of talk, right? A lot of bullying, actually. Let's just be frank. A lot of bullying, a lot of talk trying to get him to step down. But I think the reason why we haven't seen him step down, and just want to get your quick thought on this also, Lisa, is because the Supreme Court basically already told him not to do this. We know there was a case that came before the Supreme Court because Trump fired one of the members of the National Relations Board, Wilcox, and she went to the Supreme Court and said this was an illegal firing, which under the existing Supreme Court precedent, it was an illegal firing because Chief Justice Roberts had said, you cannot fire a member of a multi-member board without cause, but they decided to, of course, let Trump go ahead and do it. But in that order allowing Trump to do it, they specifically said that this situation was different than the Federal Reserve Chair, Jerome Powell, telegraphing this to Trump well before Trump actually fired it, well before they got the case, telling Trump, we're not going to back that firing. Of course, you can be very cynical and say they don't care as much about labor as they do about the stock market. But regardless of what their personal motivations were for that, I don't know if I've ever seen the Supreme Court take such like an activist position, you could say, because it wasn't even in front of them. But they're real people. They saw the news. They heard the chatter. They knew Trump wanted to do it, and they kind of told him in advance, don't do it. And I think that's why Trump hasn't done it yet and probably won't.
Well, it's interesting. I really appreciate how you set that forth, Dina. The fact is, as you point out, longstanding precedent was against the Trump administration in these other firings. It's outrageous that this Supreme Court has basically abrogated almost 100 years of legal precedent about the circumstances under which a president can fire a member of these boards. But as you point out, John Roberts, because in my view, he's such a political animal, he basically said, sure, go ahead, fire these board members. But in essence, you can't do this in this one instance with the Fed. So I guess we take solace in the fact that Roberts was trying to protect the Fed from, having a total meltdown of just being an absolute instrument of this, in my view, very erratic, irrational president whose policies on trade have already had significant adverse consequences for our economy, consequences that we're going to see more and more in these coming weeks and months as we get the effect of some of the effects on trade, on shipping containers in Los Angeles and on the West Coast and more. But today we've just seen Trump just, blathering on, trying to smear Powell for, office renovations for the Fed as a way to kind of construct, in my view, pretext for firing him based on cause. So in essence, Trump is trying to articulate, in my view, a smear campaign in order to justify firing Powell so he can install some lackey who will do whatever he wants on interest rate. Now, people have views about the Fed and, its longstanding independence of the president. I think most people favor the independence of the Fed from the White House. I certainly don't think that Trump should be setting interest rates for anyone anywhere after we saw his, seemingly AI concocted trade tariffs where he was, putting tariffs on Penguin Islands, but not Russia. I think that there are people in the Republican Party, including Republican operatives, who do not want Powell removed. And it seems like the Supreme Court is in that camp. But Trump is taking his efforts to try to get rid of Powell so he can install yet another loyalist to him, not to the American people, not to the Constitution, not to the mission of the Fed, but someone loyal to him, which is his only test really for anything.
Welcome back. It's like a law school class meets a TED Talk. We call it Legal AF, the podcast. If you didn't know why we named it that 5 years ago, now you do. I'm one of the co-founders, Michael Popak. I'm the normal co-anchor on Wednesdays and Saturdays. I was under the weather this week and ably filled in by Dina and Lisa Graves. So if you like that kind of law and politics analysis, where we don't dumb it down, we just talk to you straight in a way that's informative and entertaining, we hope, then you're going to love Legal AF, the full-length podcast. Listen to us wherever you get your audio podcast from. That's Spotify and Apple and all of that. And leave a rating, a ranking, a 5-star review, and hit subscribe and follow and all that good stuff. And then come over to Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Right. Sorry. Hit the subscribe button there as we continue to grow. We just crossed 200 million subscribers in just since September, or 200 million, viewers. It's been a while since I've been behind the microphone. I apologize, but we could really use your help as well. So until my next report, I'm Michael Popak. I'm Michael Popak, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popak Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popak Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event, by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states, and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popak Firm today at 1-877-POPAK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopakfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popak Firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.